What's good, YouTube? It's Adam from FNZ OZ. Welcome to a brand new video. Today we're going to go ahead and remake from scratch Drake's first-person shooter featuring J. Cole. Tempo for this one is 123 beats per minute, and the track is produced by Coleman, Vinylz, Tay Keith, Boy Wonder, FNZ, and OZ. Alright, so in this one we'll only be working on part 1 of the track. So we're going to start off with that intro sample, and then from there we'll go into that chop sample that you hear for the remainder of part 1 of the track, First Person Shooter. Alright, so here we are in a new session. We're going to start working with our sample chops first. To set things up, we're going to change our session over to automatic mode, and then we're going to bring in the sample used in First Person Shooter. And that sample is this one right here, Joe Washington and Wash, Look Me in the Eyes. I'm going to drag it onto a new audio track. Since we set our session to auto, Logic will auto tempo map it for us. Let's just delete this one here. So the first chop we're going to get starts at bar 50. So we're going to go for 8 bars. We'll just keep things simple. We don't need the full 8 bars, but it makes things easy, and you'll see why in a moment. So we're going to chop up these 8 bars. Then we're going to drag this over. We're going to chop up the next set of 8 bars. And then lastly, we're going to chop up this right here, the next set of 8 bars. So these two are for the intro, and this is for our sample chop. So what we're going to do now is open up a second Logic session and drag those audio files in. So it's going to be off my screen right here. I'm just going to drag this down, and I'm going to drag all 3 of these regions onto or into this track session right here. All right. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to take our first one, and we're going to shrink this down to 4 bars. We're going to take our second chop that we did and shrink that one down to 4 bars, and we get this. So what we need here is just the first 2 bars of this one and the first 2 bars of the second chop. That's why I said we'll make things easy by just cutting out the full region. And now this is our intro bit. Now the only thing we have to adjust a little bit here, I noticed in the original track, it starts a little bit faster than the actual chop that we had. So I'm just going to pull that back now. I'm going to stretch this out to 2 bars, and we're going to pull this one back. The next thing we got to do now is pitch this down 3 semitones. So we're going to select both of our regions. We're going to go over to our inspector tab, or we can just do a shortcut, Option arrow down key, 1, 2, 3. Let me just make sure you see where it's going there. There we are, 1, 2, 3. All right, and then we're going to go over to our EQ. We're just going to filter out a lot of the lows. And then we're going to add in some chorus as well. Let's go to modulation chorus. Now let's get to the main sample chop of First Person Shooter. So what we're going to do is going to drag this, bring it into a gray area, and go to Quick Sampler Optimized. And we're going to chop this up. So we're going to go over to our slice mode. We're going to change our mode to beat divisions, and we're going to move our division time to 1. And I'm going to change the samples to live on just the white keys rather than chromatic. This way we can just play it out here. But before we do, let's just bring down my pitch. -3 semitones as well, and we get something like this. So that's pretty much the sample right there. Let's draw that in. So it's a little bit choppy. Let's fix that. Go over to our quick sampler. So for our third one, I'm just going to push this a little bit. I'm going to push this one a little bit over as well. All right, it's a little bit better. I'm just going to add in a little bit of attack just so that we get rid of those clicks and pops. And then what we're going to do is just add in the chorus once again. Now we're we're just going to stretch that last note so we get a little bit of vocal overlapping the next sample. I'm just going to drag this out because I want to carry more through that sample. And we can leave the polyphony. Let's just do it to 2. Alright, that's better like that. Now, let's get to the drums. So for that, I'm going to go over to my drum kits. I just put out a deconstructed kit for All the Dogs album. Let's go over to the first person shooter. And let's start off, I guess, with the snare. Let's bring that in here to a drum machine designer. Next, let's get to the hi-hat. Let's bring in the kick. So that's the kick right there. Next, let's bring in the open hat. So there are 2 open hats. Let's bring in the first one. Let's bring in the second open hat. Bring that in right here. And that just happens on the 1. Next, let's bring in that 808. I'm going to go back to my drum kit. Let's bring in that bass right there. It's like a buzzy 808. And let's go ahead and create a MIDI region and draw that in. Actually, it's just going to follow the kick pattern. So let's bring that down. This one's just going to go up here. Let's make sure our kick is not overlapping it. I'm going to make our kick a little bit punchier. I'm going to bring in Logic's Fat Effects. And we'll just turn off all this. We don't need it. And just turn this over to hard clipping mode. That's pretty much it. There is one section where strings come into play. We're going to go over to, let's go to Studio Strings. We'll go to Studio Violins 2 preset. And I'm going to draw in a pattern. It's actually not really a pattern, it's just one sustained note. And we're going to open up our strings. That's a little too high. Let's bring the volume down. We'll bring up the attack. And that sort of just happens in the background. And that's pretty much it. I'm just going to go ahead and mix it, arrange it, and when we come back, we'll take a listen to the arranged version of Drake's first-person shooter featuring J. Cole, remade in Logic Pro. Let's go. So that right there is Drake's first-person shooter featuring J. Cole remade in Logic Pro from scratch. For your Logic users out there, I'm going to go ahead and save this entire session for you, place it as a downloadable link below this video. If you don't use Logic, I got your back as well. I'm going to export all the MIDI stems, audio stems, and of course include the drum kit that you heard in this remake. You can find that playback down below the like button as well. If you do have a question on this or just want to chat, let's go and talk in the comment section below. Thanks for watching. We'll catch you on the next one. Later.